Hi, I'm Ray Young. I'm an emeritus professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I'm continuing with my series of lectures on Polynesian cultures of the South Pacific. And today we'll start with our study of the features of the Polynesians, the characteristics of this group of people. I want to remind you of the Polynesian Triangle. At the north, Hawaii, the southwest is New Zealand, the southeast is Easter Island, and in the center is Tahiti and the French Polynesia, and the Marquesas roughly in the center, and Samoa and Tonga at the far west. And I point out that Melanesia is to the farther west, which is a different Melanesia, the Black Islands, and Micronesia, also Austronesian origin, similar to the Polynesians. So the features of the Polynesians are physical appearance, language, Lapita pottery, tools, fishhooks, weapons, temples, carvings, and statues, tattooing, dance, and plant usage. And these are some of the features that we are going to discuss characterizing the Polynesians. First, the physical appearance. I mentioned this in my first lecture, in lecture number 1, and I've compared a Melanesian woman with a Polynesian woman here. The Melanesians are of African origin. They're Papuan speaking. They have curly hair and a darker complexion compared to Polynesians who are more fair-haired, more fair complected with wavier hair. They're taller with slender, long, slender forearms and hands. They're bigger people. And a characteristic feature is their rocker jaw, which is known anthropologically as the related to the Austronesians from Southeast Asia, as we discussed in the first lecture. Language is another characteristic of the Polynesians and the Polynesian Triangle. There's 30 different but related Polynesian languages, part of the Austronesian language group, including a large number of 800 languages. The original Proto-Polynesian language had 17 sounds or letters, but going west from Tonga or Samoa to east, the Hawaii, it reduces to 13 with just the 13 letters in the Polynesian language and the Hawaiian language with the glottal stop, as in Hawaii with the two I's at the end, the glottal stop between. You go Hawaii, not Hawaii. Another feature anthropologically is the Lapita pottery. This has been noted from the Philippines, Indonesia, and Melanesia. It was utilized throughout into Samoa, and it had a reddish color, horizontal stamped bands, dentate tooth motifs, and rows of lines and curves, and some anthropomorphic representations as shown in the lower right-hand slide. And this was characteristic of the Austronesian peoples and their migrations from Southeast Asia. And this pottery died out in Samoa. It's found in Samoa, but died out as further on because of the lack of clay materials to produce the pottery. Also characteristic is the ancient adzes, or axes as we know them today, from Polynesia. There were several forms: quadrangle, trapezoidal, and triangular. One feature is in Eastern Polynesia they had the tanged adze, which is shown on the figure on the right, and you'll see on the far right in the center is one of the adzes at the upper part is narrowed or carved off, and this is for ease of lashing the handles to the adze so that they could use them for chopping, and the lower part is the pointer tip for chopping. So it is a little confusing that this evolved later on in Eastern Polynesia. It isn't found in Western Polynesia, but it's believed that it was either developed in the Marquesas or an isolated island off of Samoa, but that's still controversial at this point. Fishhooks were very commonly found in the archaeological evidence from Polynesia. There were 3 types of fishhooks. They had these single fishhooks, one-piece, the 2-piece fishhooks, and the trolling shanks. You can see there's a series of one-piece fishhooks. The Marquesas, there's a pearl one. Frequently they were made from pearls, but the 2-piece fishhook on the lower left was developed in Hawaii out of bone and wood. It's believed because they didn't have so much access to the pearl shells for producing these fish hooks. And the shanks were used mainly to catch bonita, which are a surface-dwelling fish. And shown are two, one from Bora Bora and one from Hawaii. Polynesian War Clubs varied, but they were all characteristic of the Polynesian culture. Shown here is the typical grimace of the Hakua Maori warriors. And the Maori War Club was termed a patu. And shown also are several Samoan war clubs. There's quite a variety from Samoa that were discovered and still exists. And then the Marquesas had the most elaborate form of these war clubs, and they had the most elaborate form of tattooing too, as well, as we will see later. But these war clubs from the Marquesas are produced from ironwood. Tiki carvings are very characteristic. You'll see them throughout Polynesia, and these were actually commonplace, and they were considered a medium through which the spirits interacted with the people, and they seemed to offer, they were considered to offer protection or bring good fortune to the holders of the carvings. You can see the typical Maori carving on the left with the extended tongue and the grimace, whereas the two on the right are from the Marquesas and the Cook Islands, and they're quite similar. They have a large head, which is believed to be incarnated with power of the mana of the gods, the power or the mana of the gods. Their eyes and mouth are exaggerated, provocative frog-like mouth, and the body is short and squat with hands over the belly, and the legs bent as if to spring towards the enemy. The hands over the belly are characteristic of the moai, or statues in Easter Island as well, and we'll discuss that subsequently, but it's not certain why they have that positioning. Okay, these are the Hawaiian carvings, characteristic of the gods. The premier god, or the supreme god in Hawaii, was the Teatua. But these are four of the primary gods from Te Akua, and these are the four Akua. There's Kane, the god of procreation, and I've listed underneath in parentheses the Tahitian word for these gods, whereas on the top is the Hawaiian word for the gods, and you'll notice that they're very similar in nature and the name. So the procreation was Kane or Tane. The underworld was Kanaloa or Ta'aroa in Tahitian. Ku for war or Tu in Tahitian. And in Hawaiian, Lono or Rango for the agriculture. And remember, we talked about Lono when we discussed Captain Cook's arrival in the Hawaiian Islands, where he was believed to be the reincarnation of the Hawaiian god Lono when he arrived in Hawaii during the Makahiki festival, which is their agricultural festival, which they hold every year. And he fortuitously or unfortuitously arrived during that festival and believed to be the god. Okay, that completes our discussion of the gods, and in the next lecture we'll talk about the sacred temples of Polynesia. Thank you.